My mom blames me for ruining her life after her aggressive boyfriend kept invading my home, disrespecting my space and safety. Furious and fed up, I kicked him out, sparking a bitter fight. Now she's heartbroken, and I'm left questioning if I went too far. Hey everyone, my name's Juno. I'm 28 years old, and I'm honestly losing my mind over this mess with my mom and her latest disaster of a boyfriend. I've been lurking on Reddit for ages, and I figured it's time to dump this whole story here and see if I'm the one screwing everything up. It's going to be a long one. I've got a lot to unpack, so bear with me. I live in this small rental house on a quiet street just outside town. It's not much to look at: faded yellow siding, a rickety front porch with chipped paint, and a backyard that's more dirt than grass. But I've put my heart into it. The living room's got this lumpy blue couch I scored off Craigslist for $50, a scratched-up coffee table I painted teal, and a shelf stuffed with art books and half-dead plants. My kitchen's tiny, with a chipped Formica counter and a stove that takes forever to heat up, but I've got a little herb garden out front: basil, thyme, mint, that I baby like they're my kids. I work from home as a graphic designer, so my office is a corner of the living room with a desk piled high with sketches, a beat-up laptop, and 2 mini empty coffee mugs. It's my safe haven, or at least it was until this whole thing started. My mom lives 20 minutes away in the house I grew up in, a squat, weathered place with creaky hardwood floors, a leaky roof, and a front yard full of overgrown shrubs. She's in her late 50s, with this warm smile that used to light up everything. But she's been a wreck since my dad died 5 years ago. He had a heart attack out of nowhere, and it shattered her. She's lonely, and I get it. She's trying to fill that gap, but she keeps picking these awful guys who just drag her down. I try to be there for her: dinner every Sunday, phone calls when I can squeeze them in, but lately, it's been a full-time job keeping up with her drama. About 7 months ago, she started dating Silas. He's 42, loud as hell, with this scruffy beard and a voice that booms like he's auditioning for a megaphone commercial. He does odd jobs: fixing cars, hauling junk, whatever pays cash, and he's always got some story about how he's killing it out there. I met him first at Mom's place over dinner. I dragged my best friend Cora along. She's 29, whip-smart, and has this sixth sense for spotting creeps. Silas spent the whole night yammering about some motorcycle he rebuilt and sold for a fortune, but when Cora asked where he worked, he got shifty and pivoted to complaining about the food. By the end, Cora whispered, "Juno, this guy's trouble. Keep an eye out." I didn't want to judge too quick. Mom was glowing, humming to herself like she used to, so I let it slide. For a while, it was fine. Mom started coming over more, which I loved. We'd cook spaghetti in my cramped kitchen, the smell of garlic and tomatoes filling the house, or we'd sprawl on my couch watching cheesy rom-coms, laughing at the awful dialogue. The street outside would go quiet at night, just the hum of crickets and the occasional car rumbling past. But then Silas started tagging along, uninvited, every damn time. I'd come home from picking up groceries, arms full of bags, and there he'd be, muddy boots propped on my coffee table, cracking open one of my beers, grinning like he owned the place. My hardwood floors, ones I'd spent hours scrubbing, would have dirt tracked all over them, and my fridge would be raided. I'd hint to Mom that I wasn't cool with it, but she'd just chuckle and say, "Oh, Silas is just comfy here, Juno. Relax." Comfy? In my house. I'd clench my jaw and let it go, because fighting with her always leaves me feeling like crap. Then the cracks started showing. One night, they were over, and I was half dozing on the couch when I heard Silas barking at Mom in the kitchen. The walls in my place are thin, so I caught snippets, something about her not bringing him dinner like he'd asked. His tone was sharp, mean, and it jolted me awake. I walked in, and he flipped like a switch, big smile. "Hey, Juno, how's it going?" Mom was flustered, twisting a dish rag in her hands, her cheeks pink. Later, I asked if she was okay, and she brushed it off. "He's got a temper, but it's nothing." It wasn't nothing. After that, I couldn't unsee it. The way he'd interrupt her, the way she'd shrink when he got loud. It gnawed at me. The real blow-up came 3 weeks ago. I'd had a nightmare day, client demanding a logo redo by morning, my Wi-Fi crapping out, a migraine throbbing behind my eyes. All I wanted was to order pad thai, sink into my couch, and binge some mindless TV. I get home, and Silas is there with this random dude named Victor sprawled across my living room like it's their frat house. They're playing my PlayStation, controllers greasy with their fingerprints, while mom's in the kitchen slicing bread for their sandwiches. Victor's this skinny guy with a loud, hyena laugh, tossing out, "Hey, sweetheart," at me every 5 seconds even after I told him to cut it. My house reeked of their sweat and cheap beer, my throw pillows were on the floor, and my TV screen had smudges from God knows what. I was shaking mad. I pulled Mom into the hall and hissed, "This isn't okay. They need to leave." Her eyes welled up, and she whispered, "They're just having fun, Juno. Don't make it a thing." I snapped, told her if she couldn't respect my space, she could go too. She stormed out with them, Silas smirking as he brushed past me, and I slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. I thought that'd be it, but Silas had other plans. He started showing up alone. First time, he claimed he left his jacket and poked around my living room for 15 minutes, lifting cushions and muttering, before leaving empty-handed. Second time, he just stood in my doorway, smirking, asking why I was so uptight all the time. I told him to get out, my voice tight, and he chuckled but left. The third time was last week, 9:30 p.m., I'm in ratty pajamas, hair a mess, when he bangs on my door like he's trying to break it down. I cracked it open, heart pounding, and said, "You need to leave. Now." He leaned in, eyes hard, breath stinking of liquor, and growled, "You think you're hot shit, huh? Your mom raised a real princess." I saw red, yelled at him to get the hell off my property, or I'd call the cops. He spat some names at me, jerk, brat, worse, but finally peeled out in his rusty truck, tires squealing. Next morning, Mom called, sobbing. Silas had fed her a story. I'd gone off on him, screamed for no reason, humiliated him. She tore into me. "You've ruined everything, Juno. I'm allowed to be happy." I tried explaining. He was rude, pushy, scaring me in my own home. But she cut me off, saying I was selfish, that I'd always hated her choices, that I'd crossed a line. We shouted. She hung up, and I sat there, stomach in knots. This isn't new. Back when I was 15, she dated this slimeball named Greg who'd borrow her money, hundreds she couldn't spare, and never pay it back. I'd beg her to ditch him, and she'd yell that I was trying to run her life. Once, he took her car without asking, and I had to track it down at some shady bar while she cried at home. It's her cycle, lousy men, me calling it out, her blaming me. Then there's Cora. She's been my lifeline since college. Brutally honest, fiercely loyal, always showing up with wine or bad puns when I'm down. After the Silas mess, she came over, and I spilled it all over a bottle of cheap Merlot. She's dead set I should cut Mom off for a bit. Says I'm not her emotional punching bag. But when I said I couldn't just abandon her, Cora got pissed. "You're letting her guilt you again, Juno. When's it stop?" she snapped. We argued. She thinks I'm a pushover. I think she doesn't get how tangled family is. And now she's barely texting back. I miss her, and I'm scared I've pushed her away too. Victor's another headache. My coworker Ellie, she's 30, laid back, always got a calming vibe, told me he's been asking around about me. Where I work, if I'm single, if I live alone. I don't even know this guy, and now I'm paranoid he's stalking me. My house used to feel cozy. The soft glow of string lights I hung in the living room. The smell of coffee brewing in the morning. Now I'm locking every window, jumping at every creak, sleeping with my phone clutched tight. I've got this image of Victor or Silas lurking in the shadows by my porch, and it's eating me alive. I even dug out an old baseball bat from my closet and keep it by the bed, which feels ridiculous, but also not. Last night, Mom called again, voice raw. Silas dumped her, said the drama with me was too much. She unloaded, said I'd wrecked her chance at happiness, that my attitude drove him off, that I'd left her alone again. I tried reasoning. He was a bully, she's better off. But she screamed, "You don't know what it's like to lose everything," and hung up. I sat on my couch, the room dark except for the faint blue flicker of my TV, the silence pressing in. My basil's wilting out front. I haven't watered it in days, and the air felt heavy, like the walls were judging me. I love Mom, but I'm so tired of this. It drags up old wounds. After Dad died, I was 23, fresh out of college, and Mom fell apart. I'd come home from my first job, some soul-sucking retail gig, and find her curled up in his old recliner, staring at nothing. I'd cook dinner, sit with her through the tears, promise her we'd be okay. I don't blame her for grieving, but it made me her anchor. Then came the boyfriends. Greg, that creep who pawned her necklace when I was 17. I tracked it down, a cheap gold chain Dad gave her, and she still defended him. Now it's Silas, and I'm still the bad guy. Ellie heard me out today over lunch, sandwiches at this little deli near work. She's got this steady way of talking that cuts through my spiral. She said I was right to kick Silas out. He's a walking nightmare. But Mom's probably hurting and lashing out. She might come around, she said. But you can't keep taking hits for her. I want to believe it, but right now, Mom sees me as the enemy. I keep replaying it. Silas's glare, Mom's accusations, Cora's silence. Maybe I could have talked to him first, set boundaries without exploding. But I was scared, and my home was all I had left to defend. So, Reddit, I'm a mess. My plants are dying, my best friend's ghosting me, my mom's heartbroken, and I'm paranoid about some weirdo I barely know. My house doesn't feel like mine anymore, just a box full of tension and echoes. Am I the one at fault here? Did I blow this way out of proportion?
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.